In the modern world, we've reached the highest standard of technical skill ever and the lowest standard of horticultural skill ever. Most people today don't realistically know what the field of horticulture is, never mind having any skills in it, but they know it when they see it. This suburban garden is 7 years old.
There were 8 trees here when I started. Now there are native to the area plants dominant throughout, and the primary plant foods has been large quantities incrementally applied of composted Sydney sewage sludge, old coffee grounds collected from the coffee shops, blood and bone and fresh green grass clippings. The wood chipping process is a scam, starting in the mid-80s by the engineers chasing the environmental dollar. Until that time, councils across this country delivered park garden work of the highest standard, including extensive willow planting programs by all 3 levels of government. Planting willow because it is the only tree that can be established by unskilled labour.
Now, the engineers have destroyed the art of public horticulture in most parts of Australia. Wood chips and straw cause a progressive deterioration in soil health and do not in any way aid the growth of plants.
A mulch is a material that adds nutrition to the soil, thereby aiding the growth of plants. If the material draws nutrition from the soil, as wood chips and straw do, then that competes with plants for the available soil nutrition, progressively reducing the level of soil humus. The fibrous material is better off burnt and put on the soil as ash. Ash is a mulch, as are the manures, blood and bone, old coffee grounds, fresh green grass clippings and tea leaves. These materials contain plant soil foods.
Bush regeneration is progressively taking the soil through to its maximum state of soil health. That is maximising the humic or organic component of the soil. Most people seem to know that in the Amazon, most of the soil nutrition is in the forest itself. All forests are like that. Here in Australia, no different to the Amazon. To regenerate the bush in a real way requires a high degree of horticultural skill plus extensive bush experience. Some essential knowledge is the local forest trees and how they arrange themselves across the countryside.
A part of it is leaving volunteer exotic broadleafs. Blackberry, briar, privet, willow, hawthorn, lantana. They're all useful plants. They feed the wildlife, bees, butterflies, and provide bush tucker for ourselves. They cool the place in summer and they warm it in winter. Those plants, and many others that some people call weeds, have followed the Europeans around the world. They are a natural reaction to the destruction that we cause by as quickly as possible plugging the gaps that we have put in the native bush. We've all used willow, even if we're not cricketers. We got aspirin from it.
The concept of fallow has been lost in the modern world. Leave it alone, don't touch it. Let the weeds grow. In ancient times, when we lived in a state of harmony with nature, the country could be cleared of people for 40 years.
Whenever willow, blackberry, etc. are removed, what usually takes its place is phalaris grass, or paspalum, or kikuyu, or buffel grass further north. The removal of an exotic broadleaf, highly useful to the wildlife, to be replaced by an exotic grass, largely useless to the wildlife. Those exotic grasses are the noxious weeds in bush regeneration. All broadleafs are useful in bush regeneration. We are in the business of wilderness creation. It's not neat, it's not tidy, it's not ordered, it's wild. It's supposed to intimidate and excite us. If it doesn't, the project has failed. A grassland is both hotter, colder, and capable of supporting far fewer creatures, including ourselves, than a forest. Wherever there are the remains of a city in the desert, it means that when that city first became a bustling metropolis, the surrounding countryside was a forest that got at least 32 inches of rain. The desert has been caused by human activity. We are creatures of the forest edge. If we are to live in a grassland, like the cattle stations of the north, then we must be nomadic. The bush is a functioning, robust plant community like here. The idea is to create a home for as many creatures as possible, as quickly as possible.
Another interesting response is increased rainfall, because half the rain that falls on the forest is produced by the forest itself. It's about adding to what comes naturally and speeding up the natural restoration processes. Buy my book, read it twice. It may set you off on an amazing journey.